Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Watch Lookout, where I'm always on the lookout for the next watch to add to my collection. This is continuing in the series of my state of the collection, and now I want to introduce two watches from the same brand, if you can call it a brand. They are watches that I purchased from AliExpress, and specifically I purchased from a store called Ruili Watch Parts Store. That's Ruili, R-U-I-L-I, Watch Parts Store. They seem to be a store that sells mostly components for people who want to mod existing watches that they have, or maybe build their own watch from all of the parts that this store sources. And then they began building their own watches from scratch, if you will, using all the components that they source throughout probably Guangzhou factories in China. So it would seem that there's a whole lot of subcontractors and parts manufacturers in China, and this store is just an aggregate of all the pieces, parts that you could get to either mod your existing watches, usually Seiko watches, or to build your own watches. But they began offering their own watches, and most of their models have between 20 and 25 different iterations. So I happened upon that a year or so ago and decided, well, maybe I should buy one of these because they look kind of nice. So the first watch I bought was this one. The focus is not great, not sure why. Might be the lighting. So this watch, like the other watch, it has branding on it, and the branding is KARAJAN, K-A-R-A-J-A-N. And I like this particular watch. It is the model SNR025, which Seiko aficionados will recognize is the Seiko Prospex or Prospex SNR025. It's basically the same watch, and it does contain a Seiko NH35 movement in it. What I really liked about this watch was the COMEX branding. I realized that it's not set in a way that we can really take advantage of seeing what's on the dial. So let me move this out of the way. So I really like the fact that it had COMEX branding on there, and people that know anything about COMEX or Rolex will know that in the 1960s, Rolex had produced some watches for COMEX, which is the French company de maritime expertise, basically a company of expert divers, usually for professional diving. And so they branded COMEX on the Rolex dials for the submariner models, and that's what we see here. However, as you can see, this brand is KARAJAN, pardon me, and I know that this isn't legit. Like, obviously, this isn't something that was made by KARAJAN for COMEX, but it's there nonetheless, and I really like it. And like the SNR025 Seiko Prospex models, this also features a compass bezel. Now this one is a stainless steel bezel, and in fact the entire watch is 316 stainless steel. It's a really nice watch. It's quite heavy. I don't have the exact weight, but it approaches about 200 grams. It is a fairly large watch. The dimensions are that it has a 45 millimeter case diameter, and it has a 14.7 millimeter case height. I measured the lug to lug at somewhere between 48 and 49 millimeters, so actually kind of small when you consider the diameter, but those lugs, as you can see, they don't extend much beyond the bezel, and it does have 22 millimeter lug width, and as a result we have this jumbo sized Jubilee style bracelet, which is fantastic. It's really well built. The watch itself is really well built. It does feature a double domed sapphire crystal. The indices are printed, and it does feature a green lume, although it's not the strongest green lume. And I don't have any information about what the formulation of the green lume is. Probably C1. The pip on the bezel is lumed as well. I really like the red hands. I think that's really nice, and that sort of reverse lollipop second hand that you can see sweeping there. Whereas normally you see a lollipop designating the seconds. This is on the opposite end, so it's right now 25 seconds after, as you can see there. And it's a really nice watch, really heavy watch, 200 meters of water resistance. And yeah, I can't complain. It has this nice high polished, sort of a big chamfered edge there, and satin brush on the sides, on the flanks, and the crown does sit at the 4 o'clock position. Now the bezel moves. Obviously, it should move if it's a compass watch. I discussed, I think I mangled the explanation in the unboxing video about how to use it as a compass, but essentially, during daytime hours, when you're outside facing the sun, you point the watch, the 12 o'clock position of the watch, in the direction of the sun, and half the distance of the minute hand from the 12 o'clock position, wherever the minute hand is sitting as it's, telling the time, half the distance between the minute hand and the 12 o'clock will give you your true north position. And then, of course, you adjust that as you move so that you maintain a true north position, I guess whatever direction it is that you're traveled in. And that's basically how it works. I do have one other watch in my collection with a compass bezel, and that's the oldest watch that I have in my collection. I have not featured that on this channel, but I probably will feature it in my state of the collection. The alignment's really good at the 12 o'clock. Overall, really well executed. Again, the bracelet's amazing. It does feature a milled lower and a stamped upper with a twin push button release. And there is no other branding, neither on the crown nor on the clasp itself. And I don't know, I just think that it's probably just sort of a made up name to be able to market and sell these watches that they do. So I bought this watch. I really liked it. And on the back of that, as you do, I decided to purchase this, which is basically a sub-homage. But I really like the black mother of pearl dial. And I also really like that there were so many bezel options to choose from. And I had them add this bezel insert to this watch model. I had seen it photographed in this iteration, but it was not available to purchase. They did, after I messaged them, they did put the bezel insert on that I wanted. I originally thought from the photography that it was like a blue and purple iridescent that might change hue in different light or different lighting angles, and it's not truly iridescent. It does have sort of blue around the edges of the ceramic bezel, but it's mostly purple, and that's what I wanted anyway. I do love the color purple. It's the color of royalty, and I do have a number of outfits and ties that are purple, so I wanted to be able to have a watch that accented that. These are applied indices, and again, using sort of a weak kind of lume. Now, this is an NH36 automatic movement, so it features both the day and the date. It's not really focused in low light. I'm doing this after sundown, so I'm using the interior lighting, and I'm realizing why people spend so much money on studio lights for their simple little homegrown YouTube channels. Anyway, this is a really nice watch. It's pretty clear in this particular watch, especially when you put a UV light on the dial. You can see that the hands have a slightly different formula lume than the indices on the dial, so obviously sourced from different factories or certainly at different times. but they both glow the same shade of green. It's just fairly obvious under the UV light when you see the blue of the hands and the green of the dial, but they both glow green. Anyway, it's a really nice watch. It's got a solid bracelet. It is a milled upper and lower, and this one features a ratcheting system, which is really nice. And I do like that because it makes it easy when my wrist expands to go ahead and adjust it. It is a screw down crown and screw down case back, and it does feature 200 meters of water resistance. I believe I only paid $88 for this, and I have no idea what I paid for the SNR025, but it couldn't have been much more than 100, if that, and it certainly wasn't as high as like $150. I don't have the weight for either of these watches, but as I said, I speculate this one approaches 200 grams with all the links. Now, I did remove a lot of links to this bracelet, so it was quite a large bracelet. The most links I've ever removed from any watch bracelet. I think I removed 6 in total, and last night I just added 1 because I realized it was a bit too small for my wrist. Now, it did have some micro adjusts, but only 3 micro adjusts that we can see there. So I did add another link last night. Yeah, overall, really nice sort of Frankenstein watches, if you will. And it just sort of is illustrative of the fact that you know, once you start buying watches from AliExpress, you're willing to take some risks because it's not that expensive, and buy watches from completely made up brands that you've never heard before, that you've never seen advertised. I've certainly never seen any other videos other than my unboxing videos for this KARAJAN brand. Yeah, it's interesting. Now, in the case of this this watch, it is 41 millimeters case diameter, so slightly larger than the standard 40. It is 47 millimeters lug to lug. It does have a 13 millimeter case height, and it is a 20 millimeter lug width. They both feature sapphire crystal, and this mother of pearl is interesting because it's a segmented mother of pearl. So it's not just one ultra thin piece of mother of pearl, but it is several pieces matched together. It's really interesting how they do it. I know how they make mother of pearl, or at least how they liberate mother of pearl dials from actual pieces of the clamshell, but I'm not sure how they do this because it does have a pretty consistent iridescent coloring, so it's really mysterious how it's both segmented and at the same time looks like one uniform piece of mother of pearl. It could also be plastic. I don't really know. It's kind of a nice touch there that we have the day date window framed in steel. I always have it, it's dual language, so it's English and Chinese, and I use the Chinese characters for the day of the week since I don't really want to see the day date function at all. So I just use the Chinese characters. It's kind of a fun little twist. Yeah, overall, both really good watches. Again, I don't know what I paid for this SNR025, but it couldn't have been much more than $100. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for coming out for this short state of the collection video for my watches from KARAJAN. Cheers, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe.